Hey guys, do you guys have a outdoor living space that isn't working quite well for you? Maybe it's a patio that has been there from the time that you purchased the house, or even maybe something that you added later, and then decided that you wanted to add a grill, a fire pit, some sort of fire feature, outdoor fireplace to that patio. And what's happened is you've squeezed a bunch of stuff into a very small area. That's what we're here to talk about today. I'm Scott with Skyline Hearth and Fire here in Roanoke, Virginia, and it's what we specialize in. Not only fireplaces in the interior of the house, but also our outdoor living spaces, custom and prefab. So what we want to talk about today is just kind of like what the problem is. It's not because the patio's ugly, but usually the patios go unused because it becomes a cramped space or a confined space. So where you had a gathering area and then you decided to add something later, what happens is you may do your cooking outside, but then your eating and your gathering is done inside because you're cramped for space. And it just wasn't designed to have that future appliance added later on. Some other things that come into it are seating direction. Sometimes you're trying to squeeze implements into a small area, which arranges the seating to be facing in a completely opposite direction. We see it all the time, and it's something that's really not thought of. Wind direction, which way the wind blows, has a big effect on how the heat's going to work in your fire feature, whether it's a fire pit or an outdoor fireplace. So when designing all these, we have to take all that into consideration as part of our flow and functionality. And you'll hear us talk about flow and functionality all the time because it is the basis of everything that we do. We want it to flow freely and we want it to be functional to be able to use your space for years to come outside. So a couple of things. So outdoor kitchens, obviously something pre-existing, we're going to use a prefab system much like we have here with Stoll and NatureCast. Well, we're not going to do a custom build on it because we are trying to utilize a space that's already been created for us. What happens then is a lot of times we've got to put those on the exterior, or if you're dealing with a square, it's going to be on one of those outside walls because we're not going to bust or tear up the patio to get a gas line to it. So it's easier to set it on the outside, but now you're very limited, right? It's only going to face in one direction. It's going to take up a considerable amount of space that you had for seating, but now you don't have that available to you. When we do our custom patios, we design the spaces around our outdoor kitchens, fire pits, fireplaces, and that's the other thing that I wanted to talk about. With fire pits and fireplaces, you have directional heat and then you have your radiant heat, and you have to determine based on your patio or your outdoor living area how you want that heat to function and operate for you. And a lot of that's going to be based on how the wind comes across, especially down at Smith Mountain Lake. We have to take into consideration how that wind's coming off that lake, how it affects the airflow on the patio, and essentially how it's going to affect the heat, because yeah, we want the ambiance, but you know, there's going to be days that we're out there and we also want the heat. But if we put the wrong unit in the wrong place, that heat's going to go in a completely opposite direction. And it's something that a lot of people don't think about. We also want to think about multi-level patios. So if we've got patios that are sloped, you know, like a very strong slope, again, down at the lake, or if we've got multi-level patios, you know, we've got spaces to add a bunch of, you know, we can have a fire pit in one area, we can have an outdoor kitchen in another area, we can have an outdoor fireplace, we can have wall seating around any one of these that are built into and part of the patio in our design process. So when you're thinking about outdoor living, right, you want to think about all this stuff that is going to have a direct effect on your flow and your functionality, and that's what we do. You want to have that conversation with a designer. A lot of what we do are free site visits, meet with the customer, but whether it's us or anybody else, you want to have that conversation. You want to sit down with somebody that understands how flow and functionality works, and that can take into consideration everything that you're looking for With outdoor kitchens, they can get huge. You can have beer kegs, refrigerators, wine coolers, center islands, sinks. There's outdoor plumbing, gas. There's all these things you have to take into consideration, which when we're doing the complete patio system, we're getting everything in its right space before we even start laying. So we do our excavation, run in the gas line, run in the water lines, whatever the case may be. And then that's going to help with our flow and functionality of these outdoor living areas to make sure that we put the right places or the right pieces in the right places to make sure that we have our flow. So what we mean by flow is people can walk through these areas without having to walk around, trip over any of the implements that we've put in there. And then obviously the functionality where we can use them. We've got our seating facing in the right direction. We're not having to deal with any kind of crazy wind situations all the time. Obviously you can't control the wind and it does change directions, but for the most part, wind's always going to run in the same direction. So we take all these things into consideration. Any designer will be more than happy to sit and talk and discuss. If it's something that you're interested in the Roanoke area, Central Virginia, Southwest Virginia, give us a call. We're more than happy to meet with you and discuss options that you have. Y'all have a great day.